welcome to Mums at the Table. My name is Mary Ellen, and today I'm surrounded by some wonderful mothers who have taught me so much about motherhood, even though I'm not quite there yet. And they really don't need an introduction, but they're going to get one anyway. So please welcome Melody, Rachel and Shona. Thanks for joining me, ladies.
Morning.
Today we're going to be talking to innovation psychologist Dr Amantha Imber about a brand new learning program for schools called Hack in a Box. It's designed to educate, inspire and help a brand new generation of entrepreneurs. That's your kids, so stay tuned for that. We'll also be talking about whether forking out the cash for extracurricular activities is really worth it, and also how to set healthy boundaries with, that's right, the grandparents. All that and some delicious food-related goodness coming up soon. But first, and ladies, I want to keep it real. So I've heard that being a parent is a pretty chaotic task. Would you agree?
Yeah, that would be an understatement.
Yeah. So recently, Harriet Connor wrote an article for Mums at the Table magazine about how she's managed to regain some balance by embracing a deeper perspective on life through the Bible. Now, Melody, I was wanting to get your thoughts on this. Did you relate to anything she was saying?
It was actually a very interesting thing that she basically proposed. So she's talking about how children are, we're talking about entitled children, spoon-fed children, and she's saying that actually the Bible has got some really good solutions for this. And she gave basically three different things that you could do. One is that parents are responsible for children's moral education, not teachers, not schools, nothing. We are not responsible for our children's perpetual comfort. So even if they're uncomfortable,
hallelujah!
And that we shouldn't put our children before our marriage.
Definitely some, I think, controversial statements there. My first question is, do you really think, because we've talked about sort of the village mentality, having everyone raise your kids, not just you as a parent. Do you really think that we solely are responsible for our child's moral education?
The buck stops with us.
Right, okay.
As the parent, I feel the buck stops with me. Like, it's great that if I have teachers who are aligned, it's great that if I have grandparents who are aligned, it's great that I have friends who are aligned. But at the end of the day, they're my kids. They're under my care, jurisdiction, whatever you want to call it. It's really up to me. And I loved how in the article she was really firm about that. She was gentle with her words, but she was really firm in saying, actually, don't get cross at a teacher if they're not doing this. It's your job to guide them through that. It stops with you.
And I think that's part of the problem today is we expect, because our kids are in daycare or school or whatever, for so many hours of the day, we expect somebody else to parent. And that's not right. At the end of the day, God gifted me that child. Yeah. It's my responsibility to put those morals and...
That's right.
And what I think are right into that child.
Well, I guess to sum it up, it's like, it's your job as a parent to parent.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. But then how do you balance that with having to instill, like, it takes a lot of time to instill a moral education in your child. And I think that's the problem. We're also time poor, that we don't often have the time to do that. But then how do you prioritise your husband over your kids in that way, you know?
You put them to bed early and you say, stay in there.
Actually, that was one of the examples that she said. Just because a kid wants to stay up late doesn't mean that you have to let them stay up late. You have to put them to bed early so that you get time to spend with your husband.
Yeah.
That was actually a practical example that she gave.
And we did that with our kids right up until they were in pretty much high school. They had a certain time they had to be in bed. It was sort of around about 8 o'clock. And once they got to sort of year 5, year 6, they used to whinge at me about going to bed at 8 o'clock. I said, I don't care. You're going to bed. Even if you're reading in your room, you're out of my face, because I've had enough by then.
Yeah.
So what about those parents, though, who sort of don't have a village around to support them? To get time with your partner or your husband or whatever alone, you still have to have some sort of support network. And that's where I'm like, it's great in theory, but it's really hard in reality if you don't have a network.
No, that's a very good question, but I think we might have to stop there and we'll point the viewers to read the article on the website. You can find it at mumsathetable.com, and it's a very interesting article. But I think it's one thing to maintain perspective and balance when it's your own parenting style. Like, it's very easy to control your own parenting style within reason. But it's a totally different matter when the grandparents come to town and they feed your kids sugar and they don't follow the bedtime routine and they let them watch TV, etc., etc. And that's exactly what Jen Ham talks about on essentialbaby.com, where she outlines 5 steps in setting boundaries with your grandparents, with your kids' grandparents. And I'm just going to read them out really briefly. So the first is to put yourself in their shoes and understand that they wanted grandkids way before you tried to have kids, apparently. The second is to express gratitude, probably for all the date nights you have been able to have because of them. The third is to keep your requests simple when you're telling them what to do with your kids. The fourth is to, when boundaries are crossed, to address them and to be upfront about them. And the fifth is to maintain those boundaries and not be guilted when they give you advice and things like that. Now, Shona.
Well, I knew that was coming to me.
I'm actually,
The new nana.
the new nana. You've just become a grandma how many months ago now?
He's about 8 or 9 weeks old.
Oh,
so
okay,
you're fully
very
experienced.
fresh.
Oh,
Fully
yeah,
experienced.
really experienced.
But my question is, did you find that there were boundaries that were really awkward, that you didn't really know how to navigate at all?
Yeah, we did both. Gary and I struggled with the actual taking on the grandparent role because we've only just given up being parents.
Given up, don't you? You never
Well,
give up.
yeah, well, you know, they're sort of at that age you can push them out and let them fly. But yeah, we did. We struggled with the whole boundaries thing of, you know, what is our role being the first grandchild. But we slid into it quite nicely. And I think it's respecting what they want and stepping back and allowing them to be parents.
Bingo.
Yeah, the problem that you're always going to have is everyone's got their own individual, unique style of doing something, even if it's your own parents.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's just about respecting, realizing that they may be your child, but they're not going to do the same thing, exact same thing that you want them to do.
And you want them to have some of those fun grandparent rights where they do a few naughty things here and there, but at the end of the day, you also expect them to come on board with your values and your priorities when it comes to parenting and be supported as a parent, because when you first have a child, you don't know what you're doing. You look at other people and you can see what they're doing, but you have no idea. And as you learn, you want to be supported in that journey. You don't want to be questioned or overruled or any of those things. And I see grandparents' role a little bit like, you know, your teacher and your relief teacher. Your teacher is the core person in charge of those kids. And when they get a relief teacher or a support teacher in, they want them to come on board and follow through with their things. They don't want someone coming in going, I'm in charge today, I'll just do what I want.
Yeah.
That relief teacher doesn't get asked back. Do you know what I mean? And I see it as a similar role where, because they're backup parents, grandparents are backup parents. You want their support. You love their support. It's a good thing, but it can be hard work to make sure you're all on the same page.
But I think the other thing as parents, right, with grandparents coming in, is to basically give a little as well. So, you know, just because they don't follow all your rules, it's not the
Doesn't
end
make
of the
it
world.
right.
No, and it doesn't, you know, ruin everything. You have to sort of give and take a bit. You're right. Yeah.
And I suppose also it depends whether your like for me, my grandchild is in Melbourne, so we're not going to see him as much as a grandchild who was just down the road. So there is those sort of variants as well that you're not going to see them as often, so you can spoil them a little bit more.
You're in a lucky position, Shona. Well, if you're a grandparent under strict instructions not to give your grandkids sugar, oh dear, and you're wondering what on earth to feed them, then maybe our resident nutritionist, Trish Guy, has some insights for you. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Gia, and I'm actually here with Trish from Sanitarium. She's a dietitian at Sanitarium, and she's here to talk about nuts with us because the world is going nuts about nuts, and I want to know why.
Thank you for having me, Gia. It's
You're welcome.
great to be
Thank
here.
you for coming.
Yeah, I love talking about one of my favourite foods, that being nuts. And that's because nuts, they're just like all plant foods, they really are a superfood. They've got lots of vitamins and minerals as well as protein and fibre, lots of nutrients to keep our bodies healthy. But one of the most exciting things about eating nuts is that they can actually protect our health in the longer term. So lots of studies have shown that eating nuts regularly can lower our risk of heart disease by around 30%.
Wow, 30%.
30%. And yeah, also nuts can help protect against type 2 diabetes, and they can also actually help keep our waistlines slimmer and can be really good to help prevent weight gain over time.
That's awesome. So nuts are
Mate,
good.
Absolutely.
I always think about, you know, a lot of people talk about activated nuts.
Yes.
And I see here you're soaking some.
Yep.
But what's this rave about activated nuts, and is it the
Is
best
it
thing
worth
for you.
it?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, activated nuts can actually be quite expensive, a lot more expensive than your plain roasted nuts. But activating nuts here, as you can see, it simply means nuts that have been soaked in water, usually for about 12 hours or overnight. And what that does is it actually reduces the levels of a compound called phytic acid. Now, phytic acid is naturally present in nuts as well as lots of other foods like whole grains and legumes. And the concern is that phytic acid can actually bind some important minerals that we need, like iron and zinc, and reduce the amount our bodies can absorb. But you know, we are very blessed to have access to such a wide variety of foods, and overall, even though there is some phytic acid in these foods, we are able to get enough iron and zinc by eating a variety of foods. So we don't really need to worry about activating our nuts to reduce the phytic acid. And we may actually want to even keep some of the phytic acid, because other studies have shown that it's actually a strong antioxidant in the body, which may mean be one of the ways nuts protect us against cancer.
They just want to confuse us.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's great. So have a little bit of activated.
If you want to, yeah, but don't feel like that's the best way
Okay.
or only way to enjoy the benefits of nuts.
Good, that is a good point.
Yeah.
Thank you. And what about how much we should eat?
Yeah, the good news is that you don't need to eat a huge amount of nuts to get the benefits. I've got this great little tin here which holds 30 grams of nuts. And
Okay, so that's 30 grams.
30 grams.
Okay,
So what the
which is
research...
about a handful.
Yeah, it's just a small handful. On about 5 days a week, is eating about 30 grams of nuts is enough to get these amazing health benefits from the nuts. And it can be nuts, or it could even be your nut spread. So around 2 tablespoons of a nut spread.
I needed to know that because when I open the peanut butter at home, they need to put a lock on the peanut butter at my house.
No, I know. Come with a spoon.
So 2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons
is a good amount.
Is a serve as well. So you don't have to eat it all in one go. The great thing about nuts or even nut spreads is that they can, you can eat them as a snack, but they add amazing tastes and textures to your dishes as well. So I love nuts on my Wheat Bix every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, or even in salads as well. So sprinkling the nuts over the day is a great way to get the nuts in over the day.
That's awesome. I love hearing about all these nutritional facts. It's so good to have you here today.
Oh,
Thank
my
you.
pleasure.
Thank you for coming. I'm really looking forward to the next episode. But if you want to know more about all these nutritional values, you could also go to the Sanitarium website. Is that right?
That's right.
The Sanitarium website. And if you want any recipes, go to our website, thetabletv.com. And we are looking forward to our next episode with Trish. So thank you for coming, Trish, and we'll see you next time.
So activated nuts sound a lot better than soaked nuts.
Yeah.
Not really appealing,
It's all about the marketing.
Well, on a different note, the Sydney Morning Herald recently reported that some Australian families are spending, get this, up to one-fifth of their household income on extracurricular activities. And researcher Mariko Francis at Monash University found that parents were more likely to enrol their kids in extracurricular activities if A, they had a tertiary education themselves, and B, they perceived their child's school not to be meeting their child's learning needs. Now, Rachel, do you enrol your girls in extracurricular, I'm going to call them EC activities, how about that? And why?
Yeah, so not academic curricular activities, extra ones. It's more like a music lesson. So they do swimming, they do music lesson, and they do karate, and that's it. I know, it's heaps, isn't it?
It's heaps.
And I added it up this week going, well, how much of my budget does go to this? And I was like, that's a lot. But I don't do the sort of academic ones, and I never even thought if the school wasn't covering it off, but I guess because my school is, I sort of hadn't gone down that road. I was amazed at how many people do more than that. And when I talk to a lot of parents, the 3 that we do, and I see swimming as pretty basic, that has to be, really has to be on the list. I'm amazed at how many people do so much more than us. And I'm like, wow, that's phenomenal.
I don't want to talk about the financial side of things. I'm just talking about time. Are they tired?
Well, not really, because swimming's an activity after school and they love it. Like, they'd prefer to go and do that than homeworks, I know.
Yeah,
music lessons, they're actually allowed to do it during school time, so that doesn't sort of eat into any other time. And then it's just the karate once a week. So I don't find it too much, but we could not add any more. And we don't always get our homework done. So
Yeah. How about you, Shona? Did you enrol your boys in extracurricular?
Oh, of course, anything to get them out of the house.
But they're active. Kids are active.
Yeah, and we so often bang on here about kids using the computers and their iPhones and their internet. what's wrong with doing extracurriculum for the kids?
But we're talking about activities. I think a lot of people are also talking about academic ones, even from a young age. And I sort of hadn't even thought of that. But I guess if your child had a learning difficulty or need, I can absolutely see it.
But surely
Coming from
isn't that where music fits in? That helps academically, music, doesn't it?
apparently.
Research show that, yeah.
Coming from Singapore, every time you get school, and then after school, you get extra tutoring on the subjects that you've actually learned.
Oh, that's crazy. That
It
doesn't
stresses
even...
me out just thinking about it.
Yeah.
But then you wouldn't have to do the homework.
My question is, though, like extracurricular activities, we'll go back to the money thing, sorry, they are expensive. And and a lot of families just can't afford it. So do you think it's really fair? Like, do you think that schools should be providing services like piano lessons and things like that so that people actually can access them? Because it's a huge disadvantage to not have access to that.
Yeah, it's a disadvantage. But, you know, we live in this society where it's not...
Yeah,
we don't live in communism. Like, people do what they can afford and what they've got time for. So, yes, it's expensive, but a lot of families have to pay for after-school care anyway. So why not put them in an activity where they're learning something instead?
But just from the social point of view, I'm just thinking about it. Are we perpetuating the, you know, where the poor remains poorer and the rich remains richer simply because, you know, you think with extracurricular activities, right, it actually gives them some kind of advantage. And so if the people who can't afford it can't give them the extracurricular easy activities,
So hard to say.
are we causing the children to be at a disadvantage? In
A wider gap.
Yeah.
And I wondered that when I read that it was tertiary educated parents were more likely to do it. And I wonder if that's because they see the value in it and want to actually push their children to strive more.
Well, I guess it's controversial, but look, I think there's benefit in it. I did it for a long time and I've seen that. But yeah, I don't know. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook and give us your opinions. Well, Gia and Olive are cooking up some chia fruit pudding in the kitchen now, and I'm feeling hungry already, so let's check that out.
Do you know what we're making?
Chia seed.
Pudding, chia seed berry pudding. This is a really easy recipe. It is delicious. Your kids, as a sweet dessert, this is tops because they're getting heaps of nutrients. And, you know, as a mother, I always worry, oh, my child's too thin or my child's too big but this has got all the good fats in it and everything, so you know that you're feeding your child some really healthy stuff.
Let me put that in.
Okay, so you have to put it in this one, okay? So it's 1 cup of chia seeds. Use the white one, they just look better for this recipe. No, I want them all in this one because we need to show them how to make it, yeah?
Well, what about mine?
Well, we'll put a little bit in there as well. Here, would you like that? Okay, there you go. So it's 1 cup of chia seeds, white chia seeds. We use 1 cup of coconut milk. Or coconut cream, coconut cream. Yeah, 1 cup of coconut, you can put some in there, go ahead. Now, I'm using 4 cups of a berry smoothie that I got at a supermarket. I can't tell you what brand it is, but anyway, you can go to the fridge section and you could choose any flavour you want. I've chosen the berry, it's got strawberry, raspberry, banana. It's like those healthy, nothing but fruit in it. So this is nearly 4 cups anyway. So it's 4 cups of any type of nectar or juice that you like, that you prefer. I'm using this one because I know it's nearly 4 cups, the whole thing.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, we could put a little bit in yours. Would you like that? Is that enough?
Yeah.
There we go. And I think you need to use a spoon to mix it. There you go. Now, you have to mix this through really, really well. Make sure the chia seeds are not sticking to the side because you have to leave this in the fridge overnight for it to be a really good pudding. And you want to make sure the chia seeds aren't just clumped into the corner because then it doesn't really soak up all the nectar and the juice, whatever you're using. So you mix it really well. Now, I would put this in a container and I would put it in my fridge overnight. So if the kids in the morning for breakfast, they can even have this for breakfast. It's that good for you. So I'm going to put this aside because we are going to show you the end result. I used a container, this container here. It's so simple. Now, you come closer, you can see the consistency. There you go, that's the consistency of it. So it's runny but thick. So now what you can do before serving it, I use coconut yogurt. You don't have to, it's optional. I use a vanilla flavoured coconut yogurt and 1 cup. I put it in here in the container before serving it and I fold it through. So you just fold it through. It just gives it extra flavour. Oh, you made a really cool one. But did you use all the strawberries that we needed? You did. Okay, so I folded that through, and I will serve it, say, for the kids, or if you've got visitors, like for a dessert.
Here,
Whoa.
have a try.
Yes, as soon as I got, but guess what we're putting on top? My favourite. It's pear and cashew cream. Look at that. It is delicious. You have to try it. If you haven't, go to our website, thetabletv.com, and go into our recipe section. This on top with some fresh berries is seriously awesome. Okay, and Olive didn't leave me many berries, but we're going to put some in there. So if you're serving it to people that are coming over, there you go. Berry pudding, chia pudding. Eat your heart out.
So we've got a very special giveaway we would like to bring to your attention this week, and it's this wonderful newly released children's books. They're sweet and lovely stories, and this one is all about the bond between grandma and granddaughter. And the other one has got great illustrations of Australian wildlife. They're for preschool and primary age kids, except for this other one that Rachel is holding, which is, it's a very fantastic book for every parent with a child in school or about to attend one, which is, well, all of us. All you have to do is to send us your personal story about your parenting journey, and if we decide to use your story in the magazine, this very set of books will be yours. Write to us at hello@thetabletv.com and tell us it's for our August giveaway. Remember, that's hello@thetabletv.com.
Yeah, thank you, Melody. Awesome. Well, joining us in the studio now is Dr Amantha Imber. She's an innovation psychologist, a best-selling author, the founder of Australia's leading innovation consultancy, Inventium, and she's helped to create a program called Hack in a Box. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
My question is there anything you can't do? Oh my goodness, you're a writer, you're an innovator, it's amazing. Now, so Hack in a Box is a program for schools that you've helped to design. Do you mind just telling us sort of what that is?
Absolutely. So it's a program designed to increase critical and creative thinking skills in students, mainly high school students.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, we knew you would.
So it runs across 6 different classes, and students set out to solve a real challenge and in the meanwhile learn different tools to improve their ability to think creatively.
Cool.
What I'm actually curious about, right, when just reading about it is, this scares me a little that we need to create a whole new program about creative thinking, because what does it say about the current curriculum?
That we have a lot of standardised stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, won't go there.
Yeah.
So what would it look like then for a high school student coming into a class? What would it look like for them?
So they get presented with a real challenge. Like, for example, Virgin Australia gave them the challenge, how can we make flying more fun for teenagers? We're working with the Big Issue at the moment to look at a challenge around how can we help sell more copies of the Big Issue through engaging the student population. So then over the course of 6 classes, they learn different tools to think creatively about that problem, run experiments on their ideas, and then pitch their idea.
So what subjects does this hone in on? Is it just a broad, like an entrepreneur type subject, or does it come back to your core subjects?
It can be anything. So we've seen it run in English class, maths class, science, business. It's really, really broad, the application.
Just to bring it back to the basics, right, how exactly does creative thinking help a child's future?
Well, I think with most jobs that are all about just applying logical thinking and doing the same thing over and over again, I mean, we're seeing those sorts of jobs replaced by robots and artificial intelligence.
Really scary.
Yeah, so the future jobs that these students are going to be going into, they're jobs that require complex creative thinking, so they need to start learning those skills at school.
So at what age then because they often say that, you know, kindergarten kids are geniuses because they think about a paperclip but it's like 6 foot tall and made of bread, you know, that sort of thing. At what age do we sort of lose that ability to innovate, do you know?
Look, from research, it suggests sort of in the later years of primary school and also high school, where we're taught to think about what's right and wrong versus what's possible. And Hack in a Box is all about looking at what's possible as opposed to what's the right answer.
Yeah. So take us back to before you created the program. You're an innovation psychologist, which is such a cool title. I love it. But sort of what inspired you to create it? How did you see that need arise?
It was really seeing that school is, for the most part, not really helping students get ready for the the real world and ready to be thinking creatively and innovatively. And we've been doing this kind of work with corporates and government for a decade, and we thought, wouldn't it be great to bring those tools that we're teaching to adults in and teach them to students and kids.
Start them early, might as well. Just curious, has any of the solutions that the students come up with been used in the real world situation?
Look, I know that the companies involved have been fascinated with the students' way of thinking because it's so different from how adults approach the problems. I'm not sure if any have been implemented, but they love hearing about what the students come up with.
Do you have any examples you can give us, like a favourite solution, or is it sort of you're not really involved with that?
Oh, yeah, look, and they do tend to remain confidential, but there have been some really awesome ones, yeah.
So how many schools have, like, it's been picked up by the schools? So do you know how many?
Yeah, we've had about 40 schools so far.
Wow.
Yeah, and for any schools that want to get involved, we actually offer the first Hack in a Box session for free. So if any schools watching want to try it out in their classroom, or parents want to bring that into their schools that their children are at, they can try it for free. So
it's predominantly secondary school. Do you have anything that's sort of, I guess, for primary school as well? Because they can be really creative thinkers as well.
Definitely. So we've run it in as low as years 5 and 6, and that's worked brilliantly.
Beautiful.
Now, I know that there's a bit of an emphasis at the moment, I think in the government level, I'm not sure, about STEM for girls and how there's a lack of females in technology disciplines. How is this helping to address that, or is this helping to address that?
It absolutely is. I mean, you know, STEM is all about solving problems differently and looking at things in new and different ways. So for schools that do have a focus on STEM, it's perfect for that because it's all about the experimental mindset and the entrepreneurial mindset too.
Yeah, that's so cool, because often, I don't know, as a female, I was never really interested in science just because it wasn't very creative. I found it was just kind of rote learning, so that's really awesome. But my question is, what?
She's off on her
Sorry. Passionate about this. My question is sort of, what has the feedback been from students and from teachers as well? Because I understand you educate teachers. Is that right? Yeah.
We absolutely do. So we also train the teachers in these schools, and the feedback has just been fantastic. I mean, one of the reasons why we've been in quite a few schools so far is that it's been growing through word of mouth. So teachers run it and they love it, and likewise they're getting great feedback from students as well.
Yeah. So where can we find out more about this program?
So hop on hackinabox.com.au and sign up for a free class, and you can try it out.
Yeah. So, okay, just to kind of sum up, if you had to give your 1-sentence or 2-sentence promo to a school, if you were trying to sell it right now, what would you say? Like, why? What's the why?
Yeah, look, it's a really easy way to teach students critical and creative thinking skills, which is going to help set them up for life.
So cool.
Have you had any feedback from parents? Like, I know we spoke about teachers and students before. Have parents come back to you and said, I've seen a change in my child, or anything like that? Do you get any of that feedback?
Yeah, we sometimes do, actually. Yeah.
Because parents can often be really good people to help sort of move this on, like word of mouth type thing, because they're really invested in how their kids do. So.
Definitely. Yeah, we have had a lot of that feedback, actually.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So what's next for you? Are you going to take this, are you going to go into more schools? Like, is it the plan to be in Australia or like worldwide, or?
Absolutely, we've got global ambitions with the program, but we definitely want to get into like hundreds of schools within Australia. We've just seen this program have such a big impact where we've been, and we just want to spread the word as widely as possible.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's going to be any problem. I think you're going to definitely become worldwide at any time. Thank you so much for joining us, Amantha. It's been fascinating.
Thank you.
Now, if you'd like to watch any more of today's episode, or if you'd like more information about Hack in a Box, you can visit hackinabox.com.au. Now, please hit us up on Facebook, check out our Instagram, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless and goodbye.